Next one. You look nice. I liked your hair
Thank you.
curly.
Yeah, I had to wash it. I had to wash it. It was
I
a
love
mess.
it. You look so much like my daughter-in-law.
No.
And I tell her about you. I said I have this mutual online. Hello, Tiff, and
Hello.
thank you guys for joining us. Send out the notifications and bring more people into the conversation because we certainly have a lot to talk about today. What a week! What a week!
What a week. And it's Friday the 13th. How culminate the week with the Friday the 13th is something. So, yeah, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I just made that connection when you said it. I was like, holy cow. And we just had a full moon. Okay, so
I can't.
uh, crazy times. And, I just want to start out because I know this is a case that a lot of people are following. And the Garcia case, of course, is being held here in Tennessee. And they had his first hearing today.
Okay.
And of course, he pled not guilty. He, his wife was able to see him because he
Well,
was
that was
here
good.
uh, for the first time. And also, there's a remarkable, I'm going to share it later on my timeline, but she came out and did a press conference and she gave the crowd words from him.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, it was very sweet. And she had a translator there, and there were a lot of people who gathered there for that hearing at the Nashville courthouse where it was held. And they stayed there for a long time afterwards. So that made me feel really good. And they were
What did
tying,
they what did they decide on? Is there going to be like another hearing to decide if he can be released? Because I saw that when I was driving and getting my nails done, and I saw that the alerts were coming through, but I wasn't sure if I know his lawyers were arguing for him to be able to be released, but I wasn't sure if there was anything that was settled.
I've been looking for the same thing. Haven't seen any
Okay.
confirmation on that yet, but I know it is supposed to be decided today.
Okay.
So
Okay. I feel like if he's released, it will be a total slap in the face to this administration because they fought so hard for him to not come back and then to end up bringing him back. And then if he's just released, it's like you did all of this for what? What was the point of all of this? So it'll be interesting to see what the judge does because the judge does have the final say in this. So if the judge releases him and puts him on bond or bail or whatever it may be, this administration is going to lose their damn mind. And I'm going to laugh.
yes, they really will, but I don't know. I guess because, of course, he's from Maryland. They chose to have it
Right.
here in Tennessee for a reason. We're a red
Well,
state,
for sure.
okay?
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. And the actually the chief, the head of the criminal division for the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Nashville, he resigned
I remember
after
that
that
last week.
indictment. Yes. So that should tell you something. I haven't looked at the judge to know enough about them, but like
Okay.
I said, just in general here in Tennessee,
Right.
they brought it here because they know that they have a lot of like-minded people in the
That's
system
true.
here. So, but we
Well,
shall see. I agree with you, though. It would be glorious.
it would be, it would be so glorious. I mean, it's doubtful that they will, but it would kind of be like the karmic thing because the way that they talk so bad about him, and I don't even know how that would work. But it's just it's kind of it would be fitting. It would be what we would think would be because he wasn't supposed to be sent over there in the first place. So I don't know. I'm hoping for a good judge. Hopefully the judge is decent and has some kind of, um, some interest
Empathy.
in
Yeah.
being fair. The thing is the thing we want from judges is to be fair. And so I
That's
hope
it.
I hope the judge will be fair. And even if he does not get released, at least he's in a safe place here in the United States and that his wife was able and his kids can see him hopefully.
Exactly. That really warmed my heart when I saw that his wife was able to see him and that she actually came out
Okay.
and made a statement. And then the other thing, too, that is kind of happening around that is that, the new pope, um, nominated someone to be a bishop here. I don't remember the name, but
Okay.
that bishop immediately sent out a release asking other bishops, deacons, and
Nice.
member leaders of faith to join them at the courthouse around the immigration hearings. And I think that. I don't know if it was today or if it's supposed to be Monday because I just kind of glanced over it and
Yeah.
I thought, yes.
Yeah, I think it is. I saw there was a release that Myron and another person, the 20th, I think is supposed to be like a day of there's like it's like a day around like a day of justice or
Refugee,
something. Refugee something.
refugee, refugee
Yes.
day. That's it.
So
Yes,
I saw
yes,
that they plan to go to the courthouses and support. And listen, that's what the church should do. They that's I mean, if we're really talking about from a religious standpoint, I mean, that should be what they protect the people that are supposed to be protected, right? And it just bothers me how how kind of how this conversation has gone over the last couple of weeks about this and how people have become so divisive about these issues. And it's unfortunate because it feels like we are instead of uniting, we're kind of breaking apart, and I hate that. But I think, sometimes you have to go through the hardships and the I told you so's and all these other things to kind of move past it, and then get everybody can vent and get their frustration out, and then at some point we can then unite and come back together. So I think that's where we are.
absolutely. And families have difficult moments and things sometimes, and you just have to work through it, and
Right.
hopefully, all of this working through will make us stronger and more united and determined and focused. So, you want to move on to a couple of other big stories?
Sure.
Well, this as a veteran, I tell you, I'm just livid. Like I have a Substack waiting in draft right now because I've revised it so many times because all of this is happening um, sandwiched between two really important anniversaries. One of which we just celebrated D-Day, the 81st, commemoration of D-Day when America fought the Nazis and fascism. And then this, tomorrow we'll be
Yeah.
celebrating the 250th birthday of the Army. And I'm an Army veteran. And that fills me with pride, but disgust that we have the commander in chief that we have that is making it about him. Like people, should understand like our military history, the importance, like the Army is actually older than the Declaration of Independence. Okay. It was formed before then. It was formed in June of 1775. So that he is making something so important and foundational to our country about himself. And then how he is using the military, like he is politicizing it, using the military, turning military people on their, you
Own
know,
people.
our, on our own people, on the citizens of America. That just should never happen. And then to go to a military base in Fort Bragg and screen the soldiers so you get the optics that you want, and you sell MAGA merchandise there to the soldiers, and you disparage elements of our country, leaders, and you get them to cheer. Like people really don't understand how not normal that is and how
Right.
disgusting it is. Because I did a post on Blue Sky few days ago, sometime this week, about how in the military we don't do politics because
Right.
we take an oath to the Constitution. We do missions. and that our mission is always in service to our country and the Constitution to which we take an oath. Because we could be serving when there's a Republican president, we could be serving when there's a Democratic president, and the president is the commander in chief. And you have drilled into you to the first day you enter service, the chain of command and the importance of that. And the commander in chief is at the top of that. So to have this man at the top of the chain of command behaving this way, it is truly disgusting. It just is.
Yeah, so yesterday I just whole the whole military parade. I am so thankful that I had already had plans to get out of here.
Good for you.
I live between DC and Baltimore. I mean between DC and Baltimore, so I'm kind of in the middle. And I actually live across from a military base, an army base. And so my husband last night was like, "Why is there a police car escorting a tank?" And I was like, he's like,
Girl,
what is, because he's clueless. You know, Phil is clueless to anything that is happening. Okay. He's like in La La Land. He had no idea that there was a
I
military
wish I
parade.
could be there.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious, right? So I have to explain to him. Oh, D, you good?
I am. I just, that's how
Friday
mad
the
I am.
13th. It's Friday the 13th. See, crazy
I
things
know.
happen.
I'm
No, he was
still here.
okay, good. He was, he just I had to explain to him and tell him like what was happening, and he was floored. He was like, "What?" I was like, "Yes, the man is having a military parade, and we're all going to pray for rain, thunderstorms, and we are going to hope that this is a wash, and he does not get the crowd that he desires for this parade because it's totally absurd, a waste of money, millions of dollars, and that's not. I think I saw like 92 million, or it was somewhere around there, and then
Well,
like
last,
18 million. Yeah,
the
18 million to
last,
fix the streets, just to fix the streets.
exactly. And the last time he wanted to do it, I think it was about 19 or 90 million. But this time they keep saying like 45 or something like that. But I don't
Mm,
even trust that number. But here's
right.
the real sickness of it, and why I say he doesn't care about the military at all is because that money and the army is saying, we'll fix the roads. Well, that takes care of it for the residents or whatever. But what people don't realize is that money that they're using to do that, they're taking out of the pot of money for training. Okay. So
Oh,
which one do you think is more important?
right,
The
right.
training of our soldiers or parade for the orange guy in the White House?
Yeah, it's really frustrating when you think about it, and then you see what he's doing in California, and he's bringing all of these, National Guard. They don't even have a place. First of all, they're not even getting paid. They don't have a place. I was gonna say they don't have a place to sleep. They weren't getting food. I was so glad that Gavin Newsom called him out for that.
I
And
know it.
there's
I love it.
these pictures, and I'm just like, you know what? This is crazy. These people are these National Guard. I mean, a lot of them left there. It's what I read. I'm not a military person. I don't really understand how any of this works. But a lot of them were called up, and therefore they had to leave their full time job to be able to go and serve. And then you're not even paying these folks. It's crazy to me. The whole thing is just insane.
It really is. And that's, again, like I said, just another example of him not really caring about the military members, but just how he can use them. Like he truly is treating them like they're, those little green tour soldiers I grew up with, that my brothers and cousins, and then he just takes them out and, moves them around wherever he wants and then throws them back in the box and doesn't care about them. And that is in part what my Substack is focusing on, because actually, another thing that people don't realize is that this month is PTSD Awareness Month, and many members of the military, of course, suffer with this.
Right.
Other people in society do too, but military members at a greater proportion. And what people don't realize is that one, when people serve, their families serve too. And I've been on both sides. I've been a dependent, and I've been an active duty, and I've worked for the DoD. Now, it is not unusual sometimes for military people's pay to get delayed when they're changing stations or whatever.
Okay.
But it will be made up. But what happens is people don't realize that it's still at stress because even though they're in the military, some of them live in barracks, but some of them live in apartments and houses just like you, and they have
Right.
rent, they have bills, and all of those things that come due when
Right.
they're due, and so he's adding like this kind of emotional stress by having them, they're, pointed at, fellow citizens. And then he's adding financial stress and he's taking away benefits,
Right. Right.
So it makes no sense. It's just disgusting all around.
Yeah, no, exactly. As I, when I was, when I, wa- I had went out and I left the TV on for Dallas, and when I came in, they were talking about the parade and saying the same things that we're saying, right? That this is all a reality show. We are stuck in the worst reality show ever, where we have a man who uses the military. He uses, all these different like props. These people going. Christy Nome is at like she's at a raid. Like all of this stuff is just added fuel to just I feel like we're in a place where we I don't know how to get out of this, and there's no solution because we can't do anything until 2026, right? We're kind of stuck here, and we all we have right now is rhetoric. But we have to use the rhetoric to our advantage. I thought that Gavin Newsom did an amazing job with his speech earlier in the week, and yesterday he was even more kind of crazy with it.
He
He,
is a
he had
good
me
when he wants to be.
he had me cracking up. I was watching it earlier. He's like he thinks this is a Marvel movie, and he's just going off. And I'm like, okay, Gavin, I see you, but that is the Gavin that I like, right? I don't care the podcast. I want to be, kumbaya with these crazy people
I
that
want to
on
be
the
the
right.
MAGA whisperer.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that, okay? You're a liberal. You know you're a liberal, and stop the bullshit. Like, let's be real. You are who you are. You are the governor of California, one of the most liberal states in America. And if you can't stand up to Donald Trump, then we are all screwed. So I appreciated him doing that address. His palm scene is amazing. I Brandon, who is his rapid response guy, A1. They are trolling Trump. They are just they were smart enough to utilize Midas touch to be able to broadcast their, the feed of the speech. They also obviously went to the regular networks. They used Twitter, and a lot of people have watched that. And that's what we need. We have to kind of start going around traditional media and start utilizing the spaces that we have to be able to get the message across. And then of course we had what happened yesterday with Alex Padilla, which my literally when I saw that video, because I always see stuff probably before most people on Twitter because of the way my feed is set up. And I was dumbfounded when I saw the original video, but then when I saw the secondary video of him being handcuffed, I
Oh,
lost it.
disgusting.
I
Yes.
lost it because I'm like, it literally sent a chill up my spine. It is very triggering to people. I think he, the part of it that really is like, how did y'all say you didn't know who this man was? That he says he was, and I said it at the time. I said, people don't just walk into press conferences. That's not something in a federal building. You cannot just walk into a press conference. You have to be person you have to have credentials to walk in, or somebody has to allow you to get into there.
He
So
said he
when
was
he
escorted.
Exactly. So when he said it, I was like, "Thank you! Finally, somebody made sense of what was happening." Because I could put two and two together and realize that he did not just walk in there. Because the way they were saying, "Oh, he just came up in there and he's like, no, I was in there for a minute. I was listening to what she was saying, and at some
Until I
point,
got mad, basically.
she said something, and what she said, because I saw the video of what she was saying about, we're going to stay here and this is a socialist. I mean, she was going off, and he got mad, and he interrupted, rightfully so, free speech. We all have it, and And then next thing you know, he's getting manhandled. And they're like, and then she lies and says, oh, well, he didn't announce himself. No, the video, like, and it's like, you know how to say, like, they won't believe their lying eyes. Like, we saw it with our own eyes. And you guys are over there making up a whole entire story about how he lunged at her. He never lunged at her.
Or
He
she
didn't announce
couldn't wait
himself.
to run to Fox to tell that lie. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
immediately.
I mean, there's different angles. You can see her talking, and then she never flinches. Nothing ever happens. She keeps talking even after he is getting us, like, not say supported. He was getting manhandled out of the room. So it's just like, and then you have all these senators on the right and Mike Johnson and all these people just co-signing what this woman is saying and just justifying. I'm like, how does Alex Padilla go back to work next week with people who are just straight up lying? Lindsey Graham, not Jonathan, Barrasso, all these guys that smile in your face and then are kind of just saying like you were doing a stunt or you were, just being a provocateur, like all these different things. Like they don't even care about your safety. And he said two senators had reached out to him and yeah,
Yeah, I
Amber
just
Alert.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I got
okay.
an Amber Alert because
Things are
crazy
getting
time.
heated up there. Yeah, and we have rain and storm here, so the connection if it gets a little wonky. But yes, I'm glad you talked about that because I went back and watched the Senate, where all of the Democratic senators were
Right.
basically calling this out. And they were begging, pleading with their Republican senators to say something. I mean, this should, speak to people like, I mean, it's one thing if you want to be aggressive in your deportation of immigrants, but to treat lawmakers like this, it is so fascist. Like that's what I
That's
just
exactly
started
what I told
seeing.
women. Yeah.
It's seeing red because look at it, and there's a pattern. And I'm someone who watches patterns. Okay, they locked up like Hispanic judges down in Texas, another judge, and a black mayor. They're charging a black female congresswoman, and
Right.
now they do this to a Latino senator. Like there is a pattern, and that is what fascists do. They try to stoke fear and silence their opposition, especially those in leadership. So people should be waking up. That's why I have no patience for these people looking for perfection in anything at this
Yeah,
point.
the purity. Yeah, no, the purity of it all, it drives me crazy because at the end of the day, we are all at risk. No matter who you are, we are all at risk. And it just, well, not all, but most people that look like you and I, people not, and then there is
Brown and
even
the black,
the brown and it does stand out to me that of all the people that are in the Senate, there are Latinos in the Senate. They're all white presenting, okay? Alex Padilla is the only brown Latino in the Senate. And the way that people are talking, they're like, well, nobody knows who. I'm like, dude, 6 million people voted for that man, okay? People in California know who Alex Padilla is. She is lying to you. And you are
she
repeating
served
it.
in the Senate. She knows that man.
Yeah, and was she in the house? I think she was in the house. I think
She was in the House, but she knows that man. She was in Congress. She knows who the
yeah,
hell
she
he is.
knows. Yeah, I mean, I just can't stand the lies. And I'm just really tired of it. But there's nothing we can do. But like I said, we have to use the rhetoric that we are able to convey to the public. And I was glad that he went on MSNBC. He did a really good interview with Jacob Soboroff, and then he went on to CNN because guess what? CNN was actually co-signing what the Republicans were saying. People were sending me clips of what they were parroting the same talking
So,
points.
so they're becoming Fox Light or Fox Two.
They are definitely Fox Light. And so we have to be careful with what the media is putting out and counter it. And it's really, really hard to do that because we don't have the mechanisms to be able to do that, right? What media sources do we really have? I mean, we have Midas Touch. The pod roles are useless at this point. We have MSNBC, but sometimes they go off the rails too. And then
Yeah, because
CNN is
in the
useless.
beginning they were just showing this because it's like 1 square mile that this is
Oh my
taking
God.
place, and they were
Yes.
playing it over and over without the
Same thing.
context of yeah, of like this is just a small area. They were all in on the sensationalism, and I'm like this isn't helpful. And I think some of them heard that because like the second day I heard more of them, like Nicole Wallace, putting it in context
Got it.
and other people. So yeah,
Yeah, no,
you are all
yeah.
right.
Uh, but to your point, yeah, like I got the map. I will say that print media does a much better job for the most part than cable news media, right? So I usually read the news, Washington Post, exactly, even though I know it's owned by Jeff Bezos, but some of their stuff is actually good and they have good reporters. So they actually showed like the map of where the protest was taking place. I mean, good visuals. Like I'm a visual person, so I need to see like they circled the area, then they showed like the block where there was and where people were protesting. Like you said, it is a small area of a downtown area like any other normal city, but it was just a circle and people were making it seem like the whole damn city was on fire and Los Angeles is huge. So it is crazy how, like you said, sensationalism, propaganda, and then you also have these psyops that are going on to try to kind of just make us argue with one another and fight with one another. And we all have to be cognizant of the what people are putting out there and why they are putting it out there. They want to create they want to create this whole thing where they're making it seem like there's a standoff between two communities. And there's not a standoff between the Black community and the Latino community. There's frustration for sure, but we will move past this. And it's just frustrating to see that sometimes people feed into the narratives that are being put out there and don't realize that they are getting caught in the trap.
Exactly. And I see you, high five. Thank you. Yes, like you said, Portland 2020, and now it's part two is Los Angeles 2025. And they are embedding like you have to listen to them when they accuse Democrats of sending in paid players and people, they're it's always a confession,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
projection. So I believe that they are fueling people to go in there to
Oh,
create
absolutely.
chaos, to give him the fuel that he needs to declare martial law because they're itching to do it. And so we
Well,
understand.
Ms. Dean, don't you think it's crazy that Sunday we saw five robocars, like those robo taxis in a row? Five of them, like how does that rent? They called five and they all came five in a row, lined up. All five of them were burned to smithereens. And we have yet to hear about an arrest. We have yet to hear about anything. But we sure did see that Latino man that was on the car, on the hood of the car with the flag on, so they could use that as propaganda.
Exactly. And people need to be like, protesting is good and people need to do it, but they also need to be aware of the tactics that can sabotage their efforts.
Right.
And as you said, that picture of that dude standing on the burning car with the flag is going to be used in their propaganda
Of course.
because people what they don't understand too is that the Heritage Foundation is still working some of these things. And we talked about how that the pro-Palestinian protests had been co-opted by organizations like Code Pink and others, and they still are. Now it's funny. Sometimes our truth collide. Now, the Heritage Foundation, they recognize that some of these protests have been co-opted. And what's the dude's name that married the founder of Code Pink? He has an office in
I know you're
Shanghai.
talking about.
Neville something
Yeah,
or
something of
something like.
another. Yeah.
Yes. So now what they're doing is they have their Project 2025. I need you guys to look up Project Esther. Okay. They did that after the election. And what the focus is supposed to be is fighting anti-Semitism. And they actually, what's her name? Representative Luna down in
My
Florida, they
gosh.
actually they have a committee to bring him, to do an investigation of him and the donors. But of course, they're trying to connect him with Democrats. And so they have issued a subpoena and the Heritage Foundation is pushing this. But what people need to really understand is it's not really just, it really isn't anti Semitism. They want to use the protesters to shut them down and then to further shut down this kind of free speech and assembly altogether. So be careful, folks.
It's never ending. No, it's just crazy. It's just I just watch this stuff and I'm just like I cannot believe my eyes because the propaganda is just insane. And I don't think that Americans understand how they're being propagandized against. Like they just don't see it. They fall for this stuff so easily. And it's even to me, people on our own side who care a lot about optics, right? They care a lot. I mean, there were people that were like trying to tell folks how to protest. And I understand, but it's really hard to tell people in California, which is like very Mexican, do not carry a Mexican flag. Like I understand why you guys are saying that, but at the same time, what we're fighting for is immigration and also people standing up for their culture. So you can
Exactly.
we there has to be a medium where we can have both and be able to have a freedom of expression so that we can be able to get through this. And these people are pissed, all right? I mean, I've been watching these stories. There was a story of the pregnant lady. I don't know if you saw this one. The
I
pregnant
did.
lady. That story pissed me off like no other. You know, she's trying to protect her husband and, they shove her out the way. The video was just horrible. But there was something that I noticed in that video, and I don't know if you noticed it, Ms. D, but the guy who was the ICE agent that was talking to her, he had a very European Russian sounding accents. And that triggered me like no other. I made a video on it on TikTok and then it got erased by accident. And I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm not gonna so like they were fixing my phone. And I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna post it. But I am watching very closely, as I know you are, to see what these folks look like and sound like when they are doing these raids.
Tieski, yes. High five, yes. And there's a reason they're not showing their faces,
Right,
you know?
exactly. Exactly. You're not showing their faces. And that was my whole video. But I was like, you know what? When stuff like that happens, I'm just not gonna post it because it's not then maybe it's for me, for my own good that I don't get in trouble. But I noticed it and I was very alarmed by it because I'm like, who are they hiring? Who are they using to be able get to get these raids done? I don't know if you saw the one with the car wash video. So the Washington Post, I read the Washington Post a lot. They have the whole like video and broken down into like time frames of the ICE raid at a car wash in Los Angeles.
I'll have
And
to
you
check that
see
out.
yeah, I'll send it to you. They show where the ICE agents roll up, and then you start to see all the guys run, right? All the workers run. And but there was also a man there with his son. He was just getting his car washed, and he got caught up in it. And then the son is, they grab him, and the son is screaming. The son is, I mean, they literally just went to get their car washed. They weren't even workers at this place, but they got caught up in this. So it's like stories like that, or the video of the workers in the field, and ICE is running after them.
Yeah, criminals are picking strawberries now. Come on,
Right,
come on.
right,
And then now, you know, the guy gets on and say, "We didn't mean, no, that's not what we meant. We these farmers," because people are calling him and calling out this administration because they are stopping the progress and the innovation that they want and they talk about that they're bringing. Who do they think
exactly.
are building these buildings? Like when you go and rate construction sites, like who do you think's building those buildings? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, the thing is that when you travel and you kind of see things, there's a lot. I was in your city, Nashville, not long, like it was like a year ago, and I couldn't believe how much
You're gonna
construction was
have to call me
happening.
when you come back.
Yeah, I was on a work trip and I was like, oh my God, there was construction everywhere. Who do people think are doing these jobs? Like these are people who are on work site. Hey, Kenny, these are people
Hey,
that are on work sites, and this is the next thing they're going to do. They're going to start rating work sites. They're going to start rating all these different places that we hotels, hospitality, yes, restaurants. But the funny thing is,
because Steven isn't happy with the numbers.
right, he wants to go to Home Depot and to 7-Eleven because they have to meet their 3,000 quota per day. This is absurd at this point. You're not even trying to get the criminals anymore because everyone is a criminal who is supposedly illegal at this point. They're all criminals according to Stephen Miller and the rest of the MAGA people. So it is,
Exactly. And they
frustrating.
can lie on these people so easily. I mean, look, they just lied about the arrest of a or the detainment, and manhandling of a sitting senator where everything was captured on video. What do you think happens to people that there are no people around, people who have no prominence? They're just
Right.
trying to live their life. There's no cameras and things around to record it. So it becomes he said, she said. And they are trying to make it so that, people are going to go with the administration and law enforcement. Of course, it's Black people. We're used to this kind of stuff happening,
Right.
when you get caught up with the crime. But people are going to start seeing this more and more. And already, like, several weeks ago, I was reading an article about this man that was detained in Arizona, and they claim that he admitted that he was an immigrant, that he had crossed the border a few days ago. The man is an American born citizen. And they did the same thing with another one that they arrested traveling from Louisiana to Florida. So they lie. I mean, we
Yeah,
see how quickly they lie.
yeah, well, I remember there was a young kid that was in, I think it was Boston. It was somewhere up north, and he said that he was actually English speaking. A lot of these people are not English speaking, so they're coercing them to sign papers, basically deporting themselves or saying they're criminals. Like this is what they're doing. And so he was obviously in the jail. He could speak English, so he's telling them like, don't sign this because this is, and he comes out and he was a citizen. They're grabbing citizens, people. Like they're literally grabbing citizens. If you're brown, they're grabbing. I mean, it's bad. And of course, my dad is like, he's brown skin. He's like, should I walk around with my passport, like my birth certificate? Like this is where we are. There's this guy who's like a social media guy, and he does these videos. He has his passport. He has like a thing on his head, and his pass. He's trying to make light of it. I think that's what a lot of us do when we're in these situations. Like people try to make jokes and try to get through this with some humor, but it's really difficult to see it. And there's no way that you can, however you feel about everything that's happening, there's no way you can look at this and not have some sort of empathy if you're, a human. Like I don't understand how you can't have
Exactly.
empathy.
But speaking of empathy, like the issue that we're dealing with this Project 2025 thing, a lot of that is white Christian nationalism. And now in churches, literally, they are teaching empathy to be a sin. So they are
What?
trying. Yes, I'll send you the article. When I read
Oh,
it, there's
wow.
a couple. One of them is a Vox article that yes, they are literally teaching people from the pulpit that empathy is a sin. You know, so that
Unbelievable.
desensitizing people to have these human, emotions around awful things happening to other humans.
Unbelievable. And I'm not surprised by that. I mean, I don't know how you, like I said, the whole we started this off with talking about people being Christians and how do you not have empathy? I don't understand that. Like that's not how we were raised. And I don't understand how people cannot have empathy for seeing people's kids literally being taken away. Not the kid, and kids too. Let me get that straight. Let me back this up. Did you hear the story about the foster kids that they took the foster kids from the white couple? Like there was foster kids living with the white couple. These kids, I guess, were separated from their parents, and ICE came and grabbed the kids from the foster parents. There's a video on it. Yeah, the white foster parents. So this is not just happening to Latinos and to brown people and black people and Asians because they are impacted too. These white people are going to start to be impacted through this in different ways, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I don't know. It's bad.
Yeah, it really is. And I hope that what happened to Senator, I hate what happened to Senator Padilla, but I hope that it was a wake up call for Americans writ large, but a lot of the leadership, because what I have been saying, a lot of us have been saying, they keep wanting to approach this from a political um, standpoint. And this is no longer about politics. Like we need to use politics to regain power, but what we are fighting is an information war. And they
Right.
need to use different strategies. We
That's
talked
it.
about how the media is really not our friend and stuff, and they need to stop trying to kumbaya across the aisle because you can't even get these people to see, and they know that this man is a good man. They have sat and
Right.
served with him. You can't get them to stand up to something like that being done to him, someone like you work with. They don't
That
care
that
about
is
people
the
that they don't.
right. That's the crazy part to me, right? You work like I said, you work with this man. You know he's a good man. You know he wouldn't do this purposely. And like I said, we're fighting a misinformation. We're fighting a war against lies and people who lie for sport. They don't care. They will justify anything that happens. So how do you fight that? And yesterday, as I was watching, kind of like I said, all the senators coming up and saying, wow, they felt my senator was pissed, which was Angela Alsobrook. I saw Senator Van Hollen; he was livid, and I never really thought about this, but I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of Chuck Schumer because he did speak, but he was not speaking with force. He was like, "Yeah, we'll wait to see the video." No, we're not gonna wait to see. We saw the video. We saw what happened. And if you can't be forceful in this moment, then you will never be forceful. I don't want a strongly worded letter to the DHS. I don't want to hear any of this.
Or a strongly worded speech on the Senate floor.
Yeah,
No,
yes, that
dude,
doesn't mean that
no.
doesn't mean anything to me, right? I mean, I appreciated all of the senators. They were working, they were on the floor, and they were speaking about it passionately. But at the same time, I'm like, I need to see people gathering. And I appreciate the House, the CHC, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. They all walk from one side of the Senate to the other side of the Senate. Sometimes you have to do performative things in order to get people's attention. So as they're walking to the other side of the Capitol, Mike Johnson is giving a press conference, and he's talking out his you know what, and they're people people walking by. They're like, "You're lying! You're lying!" They're like, you can hear them in the background while he kind of pauses. But this is the kind of stuff that I need to see. Like I don't, I want to see some damn fight. I want to see you guys actually show that if if you are okay with allowing this to happen and you can't gather up yourself to be pissed off and angry, then when will you ever be angry? Because that was horrible. So I'm just watching them. I watch all of them and how they react. I mean, Maxwell Frost got into it with Comer. Comer's telling him to shut up and in
Yes,
committee. I'm
I
just
love
sitting there
Frost.
like, yeah, I'm just sitting there like, what is, it's like everything is in disarray. And then we have still this bill that they're working on, right? And this is a lot of this is just a distraction, but it is a callous and cold distraction that is literally harming families. And not only families of people who are being taken away. As you said, that are in the National Guard are being taken away from their family temporarily.
Yes.
And for 60 days, because that's how long this, or who knows where they're going to send people. This is California. Next week, it could be New York. The following week, it could be Chicago and on and on and on
Well, he
because
said he
and
was sending them out to other
yeah,
cities already, and now I know that Newsom, took them to court, which they should all be, they should
right,
be using the court system and out in the streets and speaking out. But they've already done a stay on this. Yes, right, Harry, and glad to see you here. Only in blue states, and it's designed to be that way because that's them again, as you said, weaponizing the government. Now, that's what they accuse the Democrats of doing, but they're the ones who are doing this. I mean, and we can see
exactly.
it in real time, like, but they don't want us to believe our lying eyes.
Right. And the thing is, they like somebody said to me, like we were talking about the blue states, and he already has wreaked havoc in DC, and he's definitely wreaked havoc in Maryland, firing so many people with that Doge foolishness. And so that was the first the attacks on blue states are gonna come in different ways. That was the attack on Maryland, and that was the attack on DC. Now he does not like California. California did not vote for him a lot. I mean, I posted the statistics because I don't think people realize like how much he lost by in California. He lost like 3 million votes,
That's
but
why he's mad. Yes.
and that's why he's really mad. Lawrence did a whole. I was watching Lawrence, and
Yes,
there's that article
I
from
saw
Politico.
that.
And I was like, you know what? Let me look this up because during after the election, I always, I love me some stats. Gwen calls me
Right.
the stat queen. I'm always looking at stats and
But
numbers,
you
data.
use stats to tell a story and you tell the story, and that's what I love because I mean, I don't really get that much into stats because I want to know the story that the
Right.
stats are telling. And you do that. So that's
Yeah,
why
no,
I love
yeah, I tried. I tried to do that. And so I was like, let me go look this up again. How much, Steve Garvey, who was running for Senate, got more votes than Donald Trump in California. Donald Trump did not get, he got not that much more than he got, like 75,000 more votes. And let people tell it, the Latinos, they voted in crazy numbers for him. And he got 75,000 more votes in 2024 than he did in 2020. This was not some big gain. And Kamala got like 1 point, I don't know, like 7 million less votes than Biden, but she still whooped him by 3 million votes. Like we are not talking about some of this stuff in realistic terms, in terms of numbers. And people like to use like percentages. Percentages are good, but I'm a raw data kind of person. And when I looked at those numbers, I kind of had to chuckle because I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Like, this is crazy. And if you look at this chart, there's a chart that shows like how much the Latino vote moves for Donald Trump in 2020 for California. And I'm like, he only got 75,000 more votes. Like, this is not, we're not doing this realistically and holistically talking about the election of 2024. And, I've tried to do my best to kind of talk through what happened in 2024, but I think people just want to be mad about it, and rightfully so. We should all be pissed about what happened in 2024 because it is impacting our lives now. And it's impacting people who did not have an opportunity to vote. The people screwed their own people over. I mean, it is what it is, but it's
it
frustrating.
it
It's
is.
frustrating to see.
Yeah, but it is important for us to look at it, but we can't stay stuck in it
Right.
because
And get
we
them.
still have an election ahead of us. Now, talking about election, what is that? There's a county in New York, Smart Elections has brought a lawsuit,
Rockland County.
and
Yes.
yes, and so I'm looking at that to see what happens because maybe that will lead to it being done in other places because we know there was some shenanigans or whatever, but I didn't want to have a lot of conversations around that without some receipts because
Right. Right. Yeah.
we
We
could go
need to.
around screaming, but give me some receipts. And so
Right.
apparently they gathered up enough
Good.
receipts to bring a case. So I'm
Good.
looking at that.
Yeah, I didn't read the article, but I did, I saw it in passing and I was like, you know what? I told someone earlier in the week, I said I really don't want to read it because I I don't want to get more mad. I'm already mad at everything going on. So I don't want to read it to fuel the flames that are already inside of me about this whole situation. And then of course we had the whole like Elon and Trump drama and everybody was like, and the
Mhm.
accuracy in him saying like 51%, 49%, I'm not 9% so wrong. He was saying that they got 51. It was a very precise number, 51 Senate seats versus 49. We saved you, da 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 da. And I'm like, what did you do, Elon? What did you do?
Exactly.
Start
And
spilling the
now,
tea.
and especially now because he was all fired up and show us the Epstein files, but then he came back after Susie Wiles called him and reminded him, I guess, of like where his money was coming from. He apologized and
I saw
deleted
that.
stuff. So I know people were all cheering him on. I was like, he is a snake. We do not want him or need his help. I would not trust that man,
Yeah,
to carry me across the street, and
exactly.
this stuff that he's doing where he has they have installed Starlink. I'm really, as a veteran, I'm really concerned about the national security gaps that they are creating here in this country. Like the Hexet is a disgusting
Oh my gosh.
disgrace.
Did you see that
Oh,
article that came out this morning
no,
on
you always you're gonna have to tell me
Oh
about it and I'll
my
go back and
God.
read it. About
They
Hexet.
Oh well these are so they fired three people from from the DOD, and
Mhm.
they are spilling the tea about how chaotic it is. And there's even more stuff. And I mean, there's a lot. I mean, this man is
Yes, I
he's
read an article.
paranoid. He's paranoid. He thinks that everyone is after him, and we are in our military is actually in danger. Like I truly believe that our military is in danger by having this person who is one unqualified to be in this position, two is a egomaniac narcissist who only cares about optics, and he uses like his Christianity, and like you said there should be some separation there, and it's all just disgusting, and to watch it unfold, and not to mention the character of this man who was cheated on his wife, had a baby with someone else, and then was cheating on that person with someone else. Like this is the kind of person that I mean, it is bad. It is so bad.
And that's the thing because I wrote an article right after he was nominated, and I said that he was the Trojan horse to that they would use to destroy the military as Project 2025, and that's what he's doing. He's changing the ethics within the military. And they fired, of course, the JAG officers right at the beginning. That's so no one would tell them, hey, that's illegal. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't send those troops there. And, then you see them have this big rally at Fort Bragg. That should have never, ever happened. And not to mention the one the speech he made at West Point, that was disgusting. My uncle used to teach at the Air Force Academy, and I'm like glad he's not alive to kind of see, what's happening in these academies and things. And first and foremost, um, the Secretary of Defense should be a leader. All of our, there's the hierarchy, a chain of command, and you look to leaders to be leaders. And this is no one. that I would encourage anyone to follow. And he too has his ties here in Tennessee because he moved his ass here and
Oh
he
God.
belongs to one of the, yes, he belongs not far from my hometown. And he belongs to one of those Christian
Oh,
nationalist churches. And he has brought them up into the Pentagon now. Now they're having
oh, great.
monthly prayer services. Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
nothing Christian about them. And to infuse this, of course, with the government and the military. And I remember when I read Project 2025, I could see how they were going to be doing this and changing the makeup, because people want to say, yes, we take an oath, but if you get rid of the leaders with integrity who understand what that oaths mean and you bring in
Right.
loyalists and then you start recruiting like they said that they were going to start recruiting at town halls. Well, if they're recruiting at town halls for Republicans, you know what kind of people they're recruiting. They've also lowered the standards on some things that they're doing. So I know there's a lot of people, career people, who are still there with integrity, but they are quickly, like trying
Right.
to get rid of those people. So I'm quite concerned for our military, for our military people and for our national security. Because
Absolutely.
meanwhile, yeah,
Yeah, and
uh,
I just saw an alert come through my phone that, obviously Israel and Iran are going back and
I
forth.
just was
And I just
exactly.
saw an alert about how US forces are helping Israel. So this is gonna escalate. And some said he wasn't getting involved in this, but we all know he's bullshitting. I don't know what this is gonna turn into, but it's scary. It is scary to watch it because one, we know that that Middle East region is volatile. It already was volatile. It is now on steroids. So what happens now? And we don't have a Biden who is a foreign policy very much in tune with what is going on and
You have a
trying to use
transactional grifter who is
exactly. So who's clueless about foreign policy and he has a crazy pretty much idiotic person, a TV person who is running the DOD. So if Trump says bomb them all, guess what's going to happen? He's gonna pull the trigger and bomb them all. So we are in a very scary place, not only for just relations, but also just for our military that is over in the Middle East. We have military insolvents there. I'm very
we have
worried about that.
assets. Yes, we have assets around the world. And now Trump can act like he didn't know, but they did know. They may not have provided any US assets to help them, but days before I had seen an article where they were pulling people out of embassies around there. So that because of, some security concerns or whatever.
Right.
And so this happened. So he knew and Putin knows he knows. And so, as you said, it's very volatile. And with the leadership that we have in place, it could go in any direction. And then you have our military over here playing around in cities, policing American citizens. And
Right.
we have these things going on, across the globe. As I said, from the moment he took the office, I have not felt our national security issues were
For
being
sure.
addressed because they're
Right.
firing all the people.
Because you know what Iran will, I mean, we are very much at risk of is from a security standpoint is our stuff getting hacked. I mean, they can bring down a whole lot of stuff over here.
Yeah, because we're
And it's
one
a,
of the most networked
that,
nations around the globe. And so they can tap into things and just
yeah, that's
bring our country to
cybersecurity.
a halt.
I mean, I live right down the street from NSA, so I it, I am very worried about that. Like they could literally take out our power grids, and what the hell are we gonna do? This is Donald Trump's America. What you think you if a blue city goes down, you think Donald Trump is gonna help? No, he's gonna be like, oh well, screw them. These are the things that really like stress me out as we go through, day to day. Like what happens? I mean, this man doesn't even want to give money for FEMA, like they natural
Exactly.
disasters. What happens if we actually? I don't think we would get attacked, like physically attacked, but I am very worried about the cyber attack. It's
Yeah,
bound to happen eventually. We keep pissing people off. What the hell are we gonna? It's only gonna come back to us.
exactly. And I
And
was
then he's threatening. Then like this morning, he did you see his tweet this morning?
no, I
His
try
tweet.
not to
Oh my
watch him,
God.
but yeah, tell me about
I see it. I don't, he's threatening Iran. He's like, we have been having these talks.
it. Donald Trump is?
Yes, he was threatening Iran. He's like, we're having talks and you haven't, and we going through all of this and you still, it's time to make a decision on what you want to do. And he's basically threatening them. So what do you think? I mean, he's like your whole all your people are getting, killed. I mean, it's a whole rant that he did this morning. And I'm just reading this like this is actually the president. I miss Joe Biden every single day, all day. I don't care if he was 80 something years old. I miss
Give
the
me sleepy
stability.
old Joe any
He
day.
could have been half dead at that desk, not knowing what was going on. And he could do a better job in his sleep than Donald Trump any single day. And it's just like the worst reality show that we should not ever have been in. And it's just really frustrating to watch.
Because the rump doesn't care about presidenting. I mean, he is in that office to profit. So all
Right.
of his
And
talks
stay
with
out of jail.
people around, yes, all of his talks with people around the world is about how they can help him, him
Right.
personally, not the United States. So he doesn't even have, our interests in mind, our country, our safety. He doesn't care. So it does put us in a very precarious place. And it's like he's screaming at Iran now. And that's because he thinks his friend Bibi has, weakened them or whatever. But Iran and Russia, you know, they friends. Okay. You know, and China, he was threatening China like that too. But, China said, well, okay, you need them, those raw earth materials. Yeah, you ain't getting those. And we, control like 90% of them around the world, So, like I said, he talks all this crazy stuff and then he has to walk it back and still try to look
Taco.
tough.
That's his name, Taco.
Exactly. And now you are trying to negotiate a deal with Iran that was already put in place by President Obama. And
Exactly.
you pitched a hissy fit and undid it. And now you're trying to do what he had already done. Like, it's just so ridiculous. And you're not as good as he is and in his staff and his cabinet. So you don't know how to talk to people.
Exactly. Well, yeah, threatening them on Truth Social is really not going to help the situation. And now we have got ourselves involved into this conflict. I don't know where we go. Like it's just so much. And then tomorrow he's gonna have his military parade and flaunt all these, all all the tanks. And I swear to God, I pray that it is like thunderstorms here. I'm gonna be
Let it
gone.
rain, let it
I'm gonna
rain.
be in New York, and I hope that the moment that that damn thing starts, it is pouring down and lightning strikes, and everything bad that could possibly be bad happens on the parade route, not to the people in DC, but only on the parade route. Because I, I just don't understand why we are wasting this money, but I do understand because this is a show to him. This is all a show. This is and
It is. I mean,
the sad part is the networks are going to show this and flaunt it, and I hope that nobody watches that crap. I need like inauguration. I need everything to tank, like all
right.
of it.
We need networks and we need streaming. If people go to the No Kings protest, they need to be
Right,
posting
that's true
as
too.
much stuff as they can so that counter programming overshadows his parade. Now
Yeah, I
I
need
can tell
more
you
people. Yeah, I need more people at the No Kings protest than at his parade. That's for sure.
exactly. And the other thing is like now I hope people don't show up for it and the rain and bad weather,
Right,
could possibly stop them. But I can tell you as an army vet, it will not stop the army because they told us real early,
right.
it doesn't rain in the army, it rains on the army. Meaning whatever you do and you do, it's going to be raining on you. You don't let that stop you. So that's the ethos of the army. So they will do it and they will make adjustments however they need to. But what I do hope it does is keep, an audience away from it because that's what he wants. He wants people
Well, that's
there
good.
cheering him on. Yeah. So
Yeah, well, I hope you're right, Miss Meow, because I hope they really aren't interrupting any regular programming to show his crazy um parade that is just a vanity parade for him on his birthday.
yeah. And the Pope's got some counter
Oh
programming
yeah, I
going
forgot
on
the Pope
too.
was yeah, in Chicago. Yeah, I remember that. I love the Pope by the way. He's so funny to me. He makes me laugh. He
Yes.
he's I kind of like him a lot. So, there is some positive things that are happening, but it just feels like all of this chaos just kind of takes over, and that's dominating our minds and everything that's going on. And I know obviously we are winning elections. Can we just talk about the fact that we're winning elections and
Yes.
winning them big? I mean, that's kind of how we always end this,
You
right?
wouldn't
Talk
know
about
about it for the media.
right, yeah, and we're winning. We're winning elections. David Hogg is gone. So he's gone. Thank you. Finally,
Good
that's one
riddance.
one thing down. Yeah, one thing down. I don't have to worry about that anymore. He Malcolm Kenyatta will be. I know people worried about that. I have posted my original video. He will be voted back in.
He's a
Over the
good
next.
messenger, I think,
He is,
too.
yeah, no, he's good for the party, and he has good ideas, and we need people who actually are Democrats to be in the Democratic
Doing the
Party and
work.
in
Yes.
leadership. So he'll be back. The vote is for that male vote. It's only him on the ballot, so he'll be voted back in Saturday. So he should be back in office on Monday, and then there's going to be another vote with the three women so that they can figure out who's the best woman to be the third vice chair. So we will have actually more diversity in, because that's a bad word these days. We will have more diversity. We'll have Malcolm, who is a black male, a gay male, and then we'll have a woman, and the three women on the ballot are all women of color. There's Shasti, who is Indian American. We also have Genevieve Pass, who is a black woman, and then you have Caitlin Free, who was the person who actually put in the claim for the whole redo vote, and she's a
Right.
Native American woman. So we will have a woman in that seat, and we will be better for it. Another thing that came about this week, and I don't know if you've seen it, the Democrats actually launched like a daily show on YouTube. So on the Democrat side, I'm not really a fan of the person who is like doing the talking, but it is still a good thing that they have someone able to tell kind of what is happening. It's like maybe like 10 minutes of a recap of like everything that's going on.
So what's the name of it? Because that's one of the things that I think that we need to do, whether we like it or it's great or not, that they're doing something and doing something
Something,
on a
anything.
regular
Yeah. I mean,
basis.
yeah, no, it's I forget the name of it, but it's literally on the Democrats page. So if so, go subscribe to the YouTube page for the Democrats. And this
I am
morning,
already subscribed to them.
yeah,
So
so this morning I got the notification. They go live, and then the video is posted there. And she's just going through like all the top stories that's impacting like the Democrats, and then she's like I mean just in general, like this is what we're doing, and then she goes through kind of the races that we're watching and kind of what Democrats are doing behind the
this is
scenes.
wonderful.
So it's a really good concept. I don't know if she's the best person to convey the message to a person who, but I'll give her a shot. A couple weeks, she maybe she'll do better. Kind of a first. There's only been 2 episodes so far, so but the idea, the concept of it is good. So I hope people
Very
can
good.
go and check it out if you are trying to figure out what the Democrats are doing, how to get involved. This is where you would go to listen to that. So that was a good development this week. And then coming up, we have the New York City mayoral primary on the 24th. I talked about this last time, but yes, that is what is it? A week? I don't know what day is it? 13. So yeah, about 10 days away from that, the 24th. They had a debate last night. So we'll see if the socialist, the DSA guy is going to win or if Andrew Cuomo gets the spot. So we will see what happens in New York City. My parents are coming back from vacation today. So, the early voting, yes, it starts tomorrow, as Teresa said. And that is going to be a race to watch because I don't know what the turnout is going to look like. I don't know what people are going to how people are going to vote in that race. The race is going to be tight. And then you have the added factor of like ranked choice voting, which makes it even more complicated. And they said that we will not get the results of the ranked choice voting until July 1st. So we'll know like who probably won the first round that night, but we don't know who's gonna win in the end. I listen. People get on me because they're like, "Why don't you just do?" One person was like, "Why don't you come out and say you're back?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not backing anyone in this race. This is up to New Yorkers and what they see for their future. I Cuomo. There's reasons why they would vote for Cuomo. I'm pretty sure my parents are going to vote for Cuomo because they want stability. Like they want the city after
It's
Eric
a
Adams
familiar,
and people
someone they're
and
familiar with.
listen, people vote for harm reduction. That's what they do.
Mhm.
This is not a personality contest. They are going to vote for who they think is going to run the city the best. And like Miss Meow said, it is like bad and worse. So you either get the experienced bad guy or you get the guy who is inexperienced who you have no idea. And I think I said it the last time, the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. You're going to pick the devil you do know. So it is up to New York City. They can do them. They're gonna work this out as long and Eric Adams will be gone. That's all we know. That's all that
No,
matters.
that'll be
And
a good thing.
yeah, yeah, no, and the debate was pretty. I watched some of the debate last night. My husband came in and I went to go talk to him. But before that, I was watching. They were, of course, ganging up on on Eric Adams. I do think Teresa, Adrian Adams is really good. I wish she had more time to be in that race. I think she would have done a much. She probably would have been ranked much higher. I don't think she's going to win. But I think she would have ranked a lot higher had she got into the race because she does speak very well, and she's actually a really good candidate. And she has receipts. Like she's done a lot in New York. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but that's the things to watch for the next week. And next week is the Virginia primary, which is the 17th on Tuesday. And that week there was nobody competing for the governor. It's going to be Abigail Spanberger, but there are other races to watch in there, which is also the lieutenant governor. So let's
Okay.
see what happens.
Well, since we're giving election updates, one of our MAGA senators just announced that he was resigning.
Oh yeah.
Representative Green. So, yay. But they have gerrymandered our state so much
Right.
that it will likely be another Republican, but we can put up a good fight, and who knows, and at least not get a crazy one. But yeah, he's resigning because to seek other ventures. He has a
Oh.
better opportunity. So he don't care about the people, but he got a paycheck coming. He's also one that got divorced while he was up there, and his teenage daughter said DC corrupted him. I was like,
Hmm.
the money. But yes, when he resigns, the laws in Tennessee mean that I think it's like 85 days or something like that. But we should have a special election
Okay.
sometime around the fall. So I'll keep you guys updated on
Nice.
that as well. So,
Nice. Great.
all
Well,
right.
listen, lots going on. So be good. Everybody, thanks for joining. We appreciate you. And we will see what happens over the next 2 weeks because Lord knows it's always something when we get up on here.
Exactly. And I thank you for joining me, Tiff. I look forward to these
I do too.
bi-weekly Fired Up Friday. So you guys have a great weekend. If you can, get out there and protest. Be safe and just stay tuned and follow us and stay involved and engaged. So thanks again,
All
you
right.
guys.
Bye, guys.
See you in a couple of weeks.
All
Bye.
right.